Well, this vote here on Capitol Hill was largely symbolic, but it does show the growing pressure the White House is facing as the war in Iran winds on.
On this vote, the yeas are 215 and the nays are 208. The concurrent resolution is adopted.
You could make out cheers on the House floor when the final count came in. Lawmakers had just voted to limit the president's power to wage war in Iran. It's unlikely to become law, but 4 Republicans crossed over to join Democrats in the House who promised to keep up pressure on the president.
We have to stand up and speak out and be the voice of the American people. Whether this president listens or he just does what he said, he doesn't care.
I'd say in that part of the world, ceasefires when you're shooting in a more moderate manner.
In the Oval Office, the president was asked about the ceasefire agreement with Iran that seems to be routinely violated, including this deadly Iranian strike on Kuwait's airport. But he does see negotiations moving along well, with a possible resolution in sight.
It might not happen, who knows? But if it happens, it could happen like over the weekend.
I don't do yes or no questions. You want to ask me a question, I'll answer your question.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio had just faced heated back-to-back hearings on Capitol Hill, making the administration's case.
And I can tell you this, they are not going to have a nuclear weapons program, at least as long as President Trump is in the White House.
And during a New York Post interview, the president said he would be willing to eventually meet with Iran's supreme leader. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Hezbollah is rejecting a U.S.-brokered ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon Thursday, another setback for American efforts to end the war in Iran. Iranian leaders say they won't cut a deal with the U.S. unless Israel stops firing on Hezbollah, its proxy in Lebanon.
Iran wants to shift the negotiations to focus on Lebanon while they're continuing to disrupt trade in the Strait of Hormuz.
The U.S. is not involved in strikes against Hezbollah, but President Trump says his administration is still actively involved in the negotiations.
We actually spoke with Hezbollah for the first time ever. We didn't know they spoke. And they agreed yesterday they're not going to shoot.
But Lebanon denies that conversation ever happened.
Good morning.
Back in Washington, Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with the Kuwaiti foreign minister Thursday morning, a day after Kuwait's international airport was struck by Iranian drones. Rubio told a House committee Wednesday that while the U.S. has significantly reduced Iran's drone stockpile, there's still a challenge for the entire region.
They can't launch as many as they used to, and they can't launch them in the swarms they used to launch them in, but they still retain that capability.
Okay. President Trump is also blasting 4 House Republicans who joined Democrats to pass a war powers resolution aimed at limiting his ability to continue operations in Iran. The president asking in a post, who would do such an unpatriotic thing? Iran's new supreme leader, who is yet to be seen in public, issued a statement Thursday telling his people to stand firm against Israel and the U.S. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
With less than a month before America's 250th birthday celebration on July 4th, President Donald Trump's renovation projects to make Washington, D.C., quote, safe and beautiful are in different states of completion.
D.C. is looking beautiful. The fountains are almost all open. We had 28 of them.
Some are done, including this fountain dedicated to Christopher Columbus outside Union Station, and another cascading fountain at Meridian Hill Park.
It's a lovely place to come during the day. I'm glad that they put the work into doing this. I also think there's a lot of other stuff that needs funding that probably could benefit from it, besides just making parks beautiful, so I hope that gets done as well.
Other construction projects are still fenced in. The reflecting pool on the National Mall is fully painted blue and will soon have water, but still needs upgraded sidewalks. Bronze statues near the Lincoln Memorial are covered in scaffolding as they are regilded in gold leaf. The new White House ballroom on the site of the former East Wing is slated to open in September 2028, but could still face setbacks from lawsuits and lack of approval and additional funding from Congress. Other Trump projects haven't broken ground. A site survey was done in May for the Triumphal Arch near Arlington National Cemetery, but construction has not begun.
My wife and I are both veterans. We have over 60 years of service between us, and frankly, we are absolutely offended by the idea of this arch being put up. It's monstrous, 250 to 270 feet tall. A personal tribute to someone's vanity. It takes away from the solemnity of the location.
Trump's name and likeness will still greet visitors around the nation's capital on banners at the Department of Justice and the Department of Labor and on signs at the Institute of Peace. But Trump's name may soon be taken off the Kennedy Center after a federal judge blocked his renovation of the Performing Arts Complex and ruled the name change was illegal.
This wasn't just a wall in Dallas. This wall had such a huge meaning, and it was a race with no respect for its cultural significance. I know the wall's protected. All my murals are by VARA, the Visual Artists' Rights Act. So VARA, is a federal law protecting public art since 1990. So I knew it was covered, and I just couldn't believe that somebody would blatantly just disregard all that and just destroy the mural for a proposed advertising for, in this case, a soccer event.
It was just painted over without notice, without consultation. There was no dialogue. The community wasn't taken into consideration. FIFA comes in, part of a temporary event. They leave and they take a civic landmark with them. That's really what's happening here. And the thousands of people that have reached out to us about it and are just distraught that they lost something so suddenly. I mean, that just reinforces the fact of how significant it was to their lives.
At the end of the day, if they get away with this, then not only my mural is at risk and it's gone, but all public art, it faces that same fate. So I hope they pay a big price for it. And I'm going to donate, all the money to charity, to Weiland Foundation. And I don't want a penny. I never did. I just want to see other art protected. I want to create a legacy for art conservation and conservation of public art.
2026, when we got to December and then the tickets were released, everybody expected it to be sold out immediately, right? I think that just didn't happen. Thanks for calling Moxie Hotel. This is Alphonse.
Alphonse McKinney, the general manager at the Moxie Downtown Hotel, says that a room per night averages around $250.
During FIFA time, high threes and above.
Now, down the street from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the Omni Atlanta Hotel at Centennial Park is charging $549 and up per night between June 13th and June 30th. Across the stadium at Hotel Phoenix Atlanta, they have rates starting at $1,900 a night for the last match in July. McKinney says more hotel rooms are booked in June than in July.
June's number, well above halfway percent, basically above 50%. First 2 weeks of July, the percentage is going to be much lower. So they're going to be lower than 50% simply because you don't know what's going to happen from a booking standpoint.
William Pate, the president of the Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau, says that that's the same for hotels across Atlanta.
We have a lot of hotel rooms booked in the first 2 weeks of the tournament because people know which countries are playing. So the followers of those countries are booking and plan to be here for the tournament. We don't know who's going to be playing yet in the knockout rounds in the semifinal. And so we have a slower booking pace there.
Pate says that 226,000 hotel nights are booked during the FIFA World Cup. Now, over the same time period last summer, he says that over 323,000 hotel nights were booked.
Last year, we had 4 Beyonce concerts. We had the Major League Baseball All-Star Game in addition to the conventions that we had in town.
The Convention and Visitors Bureau says that fans have booked around 56,000 short-term rental nights.
It's been going extremely well. We are probably about 85% booked to capacity.
The welcome mat in downtown Fort Worth for 2026 FIFA World Cup is practically rolled out. Still some things taking shape. But also at City Hall today, the spotlight is on an overall plan for safety. A touch-up for the World Cup glow-up. Downtown Fort Worth is alive with colorful art installations, a 3D sidewalk mural, street banners, international flags, and more.
I think it's pretty good. I'm seeing all the things going on. I'm excited, and this is the first time I'm in a country where the World Cup happened, so it's pretty exciting.
The street view coupled with down-to-the-minute planning happening indoors.
It's about readiness.
On Tuesday at City Hall, an update on the latest safety plan that includes multiple departments: police, fire, EMS, transportation, 911, hospitals, and more.
The message to our community is that we're going to ensure that our community knows that we're doing everything we can, whether FIFA was here or not, while at the same time making sure that we keep the city of Fort Worth and help our other departments out with the safety of FIFA.
The plan includes staff surging on match days. In addition to overall policing, Fort Worth PD will utilize 100 department personnel divided into 8 teams to cover various aspects of safety and security.
On match days when we expect more crowds to be in certain areas and watching games, and certainly we need to ensure that staffing from a citywide perspective is available on those days as well.
We started what we call virtual operations.
We've learned in-person courtroom proceedings in Fort Worth will be limited so that court bailiffs and deputies can turn to FIFA-related safety positions.
They'll be used to protect those critical infrastructures as well as City Hall and some other critical infrastructure.
Beyond the colorful excitement, logistics, and planning, there's a full approach to keeping everyone safe.
Well, we want everyone to be safe, absolutely.
Adding to the fun here in downtown Fort Worth, at least one hotel in downtown will be home base for a World Cup team, the Czech national team. They will live here and commute for their training in Mansfield. Dion Anglin, Fox 4 News.
Money comes and goes, but finances can be a tricky topic for many people to navigate, especially couples.
These are conversations where two people are involved who might have different financial values, priorities, but these conversations are actually inevitable.
But business experts say money talks don't have to cost you your happiness and could ultimately inspire better financial decisions and bring couples closer, with researchers at Texas A&M University revealing their latest findings.
People mispredict how enjoyable, informative, and socially connecting financial conversations with their spouse will be. And this is in part because they underestimate how likely they'll be to agree or find a solution at the end of a financial discussion.
The study involved randomly assigning people to either have financial conversations with their spouse or review their finances independently.
We find that those who were asked to have that financial conversation with their spouse underestimated how enjoyable that experience would be, but that was not the case for those who were asked to review their finances alone, suggesting that it's not that people dread any financial task, but rather the uncertainty around the social interaction with one's spouse is what leads to this misprediction.
Analysts say it's important for couples, marriage counselors, and financial advisors to acknowledge how this topic might seem scary at first, but add a little encouragement never hurts.
Saying something like, we might feel a bit uncomfortable, but we actually will enjoy this more than we anticipate. We may agree more than we think, or we might find a solution to it.
Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Parents can now open what's known as a Trump account. It's a special savings account for U.S. citizens 17 and under.
The app is now available on all major platforms.
For children born between January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2028, the federal government will put in a $1,000 investment when you open the account. Deposits can't be made before July 4th.
I've been a big proponent of financial literacy, and I think this is going to be one of the greatest real-time financial literacy educations.
So how do you open a Trump account? Your child needs a Social Security number. You can open the account by going to trumpaccounts.gov. It's free to sign up. You also have to file Form 4547 with the IRS. You can deposit up to $5,000 per year until the child turns 18, and you can't withdraw the money until they're 18. So how do you know if this account is right for your family?
But you need to think about, what is the purpose of this money? Do you want it to be used for higher education or education more generally? Is this going to be for them to have flexibility to put a down payment on a home in their 20s or 30s?
Bankrate financial analyst Stephen Cates says if the savings is for education, he recommends a 529 instead. You can deposit up to $10,000 in annual expenses for tuition, and that money won't be taxed by the federal government.
For unused 529 money, you can convert about $35,000 of that into a Roth IRA for that beneficiary later in life.
Kate says no matter what type of savings account you open for your child, the earlier you start saving, the better. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Every year in the U.S., about 805,000 people have a heart attack. Separately, about 1 in 10 adults reports having memory loss or cognitive decline. Researchers believe there's a connection.
There's been strong links within research over several decades linking heart health to brain health and vice versa.
Dr. Mohammed Rida with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is lead author of this study, which found heart attack survivors are 5% more likely to develop cognitive impairment in the future. Researchers believe a cardiac event may speed up declines in memory and thinking over time.
It's important not just to think about how are we going to prevent another heart attack, how are we going to keep the heart healthy, but also thinking about how are we going to keep the brain healthy.
The American Heart Association says having a healthy diet, exercising, avoiding smoking, getting healthy sleep, maintaining a healthy weight, and having healthy levels of blood lipids, blood glucose, and blood pressure can protect heart health. But Rita says these 8 things can also help safeguard the brain.
Once you've had a heart attack, you are at higher risk, and trying to take necessary precautions or steps to try to reduce that risk as possible.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Do you remember any lie that you told when you were a kid or how it worked out?
You know, I was pretty tame.
It may not be on the official list of milestones, but there likely isn't a person alive who has not told at least a white lie in their life. And chances are that habit began quite young.
A little white lie is not a big deal.
Part of the reason lying gets such a bad rap is because most parents fear lying may signal a greater issue. At worst, we fear our kids could become sociopaths. At the very least, we're concerned they're headed down the wrong path. But now a new study suggests it's normal and for most, harmless.
I think it is very normal, but I personally don't endorse it.
The study in the journal Development and Psychopathy tracked 3,000 kids aged 6 through 19.
For the vast majority of children, lying isn't a cause for greater concern. But for a very small percentage of children, they may show more elevated, persistent elevated lying, or may show increasing lying over the age range. And for these children, adolescents, lying can become a cause for concern.
The whole idea was to study patterns and distinguish what's normal from what's not. The hope is it also reduces the stigma associated with occasional lying. Parents we spoke to believe there is a line and their kids shouldn't cross it.
As they grow older, they should be able to tell between a white lie and a true lie. So at a certain age, I felt they need to be able to tell that. Yeah. I wouldn't mind a white lie, but other than that, I wouldn't tolerate it either.
So you might be wondering, well, what's the end game? According to researchers, they're hoping to take what they did in kids and replicate it in adults to see what the long-term outcome is and how it affects adults over their lifespan. Reporting on the Upper East Side, Teresa Priolo, Fox 5 News.
Please, just now. We have nothing.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
The amazing digital circus, The Last Act, is the latest YouTube sensation to hit the big screen. The series, about 6 people trying to connect while trapped in a virtual world, has racked up more than 1.3 billion views on YouTube. The Last Act sold more than $5 million worth of tickets the first weekend they were on sale. It's in theaters for 2 weeks beginning today before landing on YouTube.
In the beginning, it was fine for me to be friends with her because I was better than her.
That hurt. I knew that I needed to be more of a killer instinct.
Here's your first look at Chris and Martina, the final set, about how tennis legends Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova went from bitter rivals on the court to friends facing cancer diagnoses together. The documentary, which includes their treatment and recovery, debuts June 26th on Netflix. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
That hopefully I'll use against
her. Let me ask you a question. What is your worst fear?
Javier Bardem steps into a terrifying role in the streaming series Cape Fear.
Max Cady was released from prison.
What does that have to do with us?
He's been locked up 17 years for a murder he didn't do.
I started thinking a number of years ago that it would be really interesting to reimagine Cape Fear for the present day, tell a contemporary nightmare.
Speak of the devil.
Playing a character that doesn't have to justify or excuse himself. He's free enough to try different things and manipulate and play with their minds and bodies. That's a fun role to play.
I don't feel safe.
Her sense of justice and righteousness is very important to her, and so when she sort of betrays herself, perhaps, the conflict that would create, and then also the peril that would create for her family and her relationships.
The series is executive produced by Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg, something which didn't intimidate Patrick Wilson.
I think there are two types of people. You either run from that, or you go, yeah, let's go, like jump in. I mean, there's nothing more exciting to me. I haven't worked with either of these folks.
He's coming after my family.
Why would I want to hurt you?
What did you do?
Don't lie to me.
I am not lying to you.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Here's a video that is sure to make you squirm. Yes, that's a whole handful of snakes invading a house, even slithering through the electrical box. Realtor Christopher White says he spotted the scaly surprise at a vacant home he's selling in central Arkansas, documenting what he and a potential buyer called, quote, an actual nightmare. His post online has gone viral, racking up tens of thousands of likes. Many of the commenters agreed, burn it down. And another saying, no need to show the house, the snakes already bought it. Christopher believes they're rat snakes which are harmless enough but will still make you squeamish. Apparently, the internet success has been helpful. An exterminator is relocating the snakes, and Christopher says he's seen a few interested investors since the video went wild. All right, we've seen enough of the creatures on land. How about some in the sea? Starting with an octopus snacking on a jellyfish 800 meters deep off the coast of Brazil. The Schmidt Ocean Institute says it found 31 new species during a 2-week exploration in the South Atlantic Ocean, and they're letting us look at some of their most eye-catching finds, like this siphonophore. Here's one of a gossamer worm that surprised scientists with its speed, and a jellyfish from the genus Bathychorus. If lasers are your thing, they've got them. Researchers used a deep particle image velocimetry to illuminate slices of transparent ocean animals to make 3D models for study. Take a look at this. Aw, look at the little glass squid. I'm Patrick Cornell.
Fox 54 Plus has your news, sports, and weather. Start your evening with Fox 54 at 5:30, delivering the latest headlines and live reports straight from the scene. Then, stay informed with Fox 54 News at 9, featuring your Tennessee Valley certified most accurate weather impact team, tracking everything from tornado threats to traffic delays during severe weather. Fox 54 Sports Extra brings you more of what sports fans crave, with deeper insights, expert analysis, and all the action that matters most. On Fox 54 Plus, you'll also find Alabama politics, plus 24/7 weather radar and real-time forecasts to keep you ahead of the storm. Looking for a quick recap? Don't miss Fox 54 Week in Review, highlighting the biggest stories of the week. Jumpstart your morning with Morning Rush, fast-paced news updates featured with uplifting stories from across the globe. Get your entertainment fix with Getting Real, where we break down movie reviews, top 10 lists, and spotlight the newest film. Die Hard fan? Locked On Sports dives deep into the Crimson Tide, the Tigers, college rivalries, and pro action. True Crime Warrior Style? Killer Cases brings you gripping real-life stories that stick with you. Hungry for more? Cooking with Style serves up mouth-watering recipes that are easy to make and impossible to resist. From movie previews before you head to the theater with Take a Look, to must-know headlines from across the region and around the world with In the News. Watch all of these shows on demand and also on the Fox 54 News app. Available on Android and iOS devices. Streaming 24/7.
There's more to Fox 54 Plus with the Locked On Podcast Network. From the Tide to the Tigers, from college teams to pro. The Locked On Podcast Network gives you insights and analysis you just can't find anywhere else.
These kids, they want to play.
And I don't think so. I think it was Chad Baker-Mazzara.
Locked On Sports, streaming every day of the week and right here on Fox 54 Plus.
This is what he's going to tell you.
Trying to find the first place to put a body. No, sir.
The only thing they could do was kill him.
Be the jury and to find the defendant